It's a never-ending saga of good and evil here as Bitcoin continues to trudge along sideways. And in today's video, we've been going over some of the higher-term timeframe probabilistic setups as well as short-term timeframe instances as well. Just following up on this general thread of analysis. And yes, we got the face camera back. The old rat face is back, and just in time for some Bitcoin probabilities. I don't necessarily know if this is the best place for a camera, but you know what? We're making it work for today. As always, we'll start it off with some daily price statistics. We can see that Tuesday is more or less a coin flip probability whether it's likely to close positive or negatively since this bull market began in 2023, with just over 51% of all Tuesdays closing positively within that time frame. You know, not really much of an edge right there. But as always, we are significantly more interested in the average percent gain and the average percent loss, of which we can see both yesterday and today waking off of that bottom of the average percent gain, or sorry, average percent loss that we typically do see on a day like today. And I just want to acknowledge that yesterday was actually a pretty damn good scalp. You know, if you did take something like that, we did look at this on the live stream yesterday. You can see Bitcoin played coast to coast, more than $1,000. Actually, I think close to $2,000 from that low to the high of the day, and then of course closing about $1,000 off of it to finish the day. Now today we have, you know, kind of a similar setup as well. Bitcoin has already come down to the bottom end of that average gain, or sorry, average loss that we typically see for Tuesdays. I did it again. Fuck. But you know, if you are a short-term time frame scalper, I mean, there's a little bit of edge right there. You know, Bitcoin already up about $1,000 from that number to start off this morning. So here's the thing. I would still be looking at the bottom end of this average loss area as a sort of bias buster in and of itself, meaning that if Bitcoin does close a daily below there, which is right now 114,250, then that is an indication Bitcoin is going to come all the way back down to the bottom of the range now before playing out a bit of a bounce. But until that happens, you know, there are still some signals that we were looking at both in yesterday's video and also present in today's video as well that suggest, hey, you know, if Bitcoin wants to try another bounce attempt, this is not a bad area for it. Just coming off the daily green 55 EMA right here is a very, very common area to bounce. In fact, that's actually where Bitcoin found its last major low in early August, and where it's found actually many lows within this current bull market during these trending moves. So yeah, you know, rather powerful region. And if Bitcoin wants to try a bounce from here, that's completely fine. How high can Bitcoin bounce? I'm not saying it's going to bounce this high, but look, just for reference, Bitcoin can bounce all the way up to fucking 118 or even 1185 or even 119. Doesn't really do anything. You know, this is a consolidation range at best, as long as Bitcoin is basically below 120 and above 112. And kind of you're right in the middle of that at 115. So, you know, not much of an edge right there. But again, coming into a move like this, pretty aggressive move as well. You know, is Bitcoin likely to try a short-term time frame bounce? Look, I'm not saying it's going to. In fact, right now it looks like it wants to test a little bit more downside. But hey, if Bitcoin wants to try a bounce from here, that's completely fine. It's the higher term time frames that we are significantly more interested in on this channel right now, because we do still have setups that suggest that lower overall is going to be the name of the game. So despite whether Bitcoin, you know, tries a short-term bounce here or not, ultimately I do think that Bitcoin is going to be headed lower based off of this setup, the same setup that we've been speaking now for more than 2.5 weeks. It's been valid the whole damn time, and now we're just following up on it yet again. Yet a fucking again. It's crazy when you have a setup and you don't even expect it to close for like 20 to, or basically 3 weeks. Is it invalidated? No. Of course not. Of course not. So for the people, for the commenters out there, out in the world saying, why do you keep on talking about this thing? It's like, look, this is the reason why. Because it is inevitable. It is not inevitable, but it's highly, highly likely. Anyways, here's the setup. We've been looking at the interplay between the red moving average here, crossing the downside of the yellow moving average right here as well. Anytime that we have seen that interplay happen throughout this full bull market, we have seen a minimum correction down to the green moving average. In some cases, much lower, by the way, as well, you know, especially when you have daily reversals. But in this case, here would be your results if you literally just play that setup exactly in the way that it is postulated right here. Now, I will be very, very, very transparent in saying, hey, this setup is not intended to be a fucking an actual trade setup. It's for directional YouTube analysis. This is not optimized in any way, shape, or form. You can see many times in the past, you know, it has had big rallies before that, you know, before that target did play out. But yes, it actually would have been profitable in and of itself. But here's the thing, and here's sort of going on to the timing of this. Again, we have seen similar iterations to this setup to what this current one looks like in the past, again, throughout this bull market. And they all kind of follow the same sort of time schedule, which I'll show you right here. This past setup actually from June is very similar to the current one. This one took 18 days from firing off to that target met. And then, yeah, you know, Bitcoin was up from there. Now, many of the others, if these other setups fired off and they hit their target nearly immediately. But again, this one over here, this one took about 21 days to play out. So that is your 3-week. Again, that one had a rally in between. Most of these are just straight shots. But there's one other one that did have a rally as well in between, and that was this one right here. This one also took how many days? 19 days. So 18, 19, 21. You kind of see that there's a bit of a thread going through there. And for reference, this one fired off the current one on the, what was it, the 5th of August. Right now we are on the 19th of August, so that would be 14 days. So this is, if we're expecting it to hit that green moving average, it's probably still a little bit further away in terms of timing. Again, these are averages. We have minimal iterations here, but when we actually need something to go off of, I would say, hey, it's not super crazy to suggest that this move down to that green moving average probably not going to happen until next week. When we get into next week, it will be, Monday will be day number 20. Tuesday will be day number 21. And even this Friday will be day number 17. So, maybe very late this week, maybe over the weekend, maybe early next week, something like this could be it. But again, I wouldn't be, if I'm the biggest bull in the fucking world, I would not be positioned bullishly until at least this condition is met over here with a test down to that moving average. And again, for reference on CME, that green 55 is at 113.100. And remember that there's this premium over spot price action. So realistically, it's going to be the low of what we saw in early August. So for spot price action, that's like 112, right? Now, I'm not saying that, things can't break down. Things can break down from there. I'm just saying that's a minimum target. Now, we would be expecting at least a bounce attempt on the first pass, but, longer term, who knows what the fuck happens? Because if you do get a bounce from that region, let's say, so now I'm going way far out here. So now I'm doing stuff that's like, maybe this isn't even fucking relevant at all, but, big assumptions being made. But, if it does come down around here in the next, let's just say 7 days, whatever it ends up being, and then bounces, now you have a situation where, in my opinion, you kind of have to be on lower high watch for a real reversal, because anything really below like 120, if Bitcoin gets rejected below 120, that's going to be a lower high compared to this high right here. And now you have the conditions ripe for a downtrend reversal emerging. And that could bring Bitcoin, to some crazy prices, man. Maybe $100,000. It might have not even ever see. If we've never even seen such prices since, well, about a month ago, maybe even less than a month ago. So yeah. Anyways, I need to grab a sip of this water over here. I apologize about it, but I'm really fucking thirsty right now. It's good, man. It's really good. But yeah, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying, hey, look, if you get a situation like that, that would be kind of how I interpret it. I mean, and obviously we'll get to that if and when that does happen. But first things first, let's see that test down around here. Then we see the response from it and judge as we go in. Now I need to get my damn notes back over here. Yes, okay, we got that. We got that. Yeah, now we have many other things as well that do make me a little bit more defensive in the long term. Again, long term, I don't think that the highs of this market are in. I think that this market likely elongates. But my personal opinion right now is that Bitcoin is kind of entering into a sideways and maybe even downside consolidation with perhaps prices all the way down to $100,000. Who knows? And this could be a multi-month long thing. And in fact, I think it will be a multi-month long thing. And then after that, similar to the last few major consolidations, which were all 4 to 7 months throughout this whole bull market, well, I think that we get another upside move, and you get that continuing sort of trudge upside as Bitcoin stair-steps, continuing to act like a real ETF. This maturing asset, which is, in my opinion, actually a very, very good thing for the long term, means that these long-term these cycles go more long-term. They last longer. That's what I'm trying to say. They last longer. Anyways, yeah. So, if we see something like that, I think that would be a very welcome change of behavior. I don't necessarily, I mean, I kind of do like the parabolic blow off tops and dumps, but I think that those days are more or less over. You're not going to see Bitcoin explode to the upside, more than like 20, 30% in any one major move. You're not going to see Bitcoin completely collapse to the downside as well. In the same vein, we're probably going to get like these nice consolidation ranges and then step ups or step downs, and it's going to be kind of nice and controlled. At least that's my hope. Who knows? Anyways, moving on from there. Like I said, there are several things that are, I would say relatively concerning here for the more long term, I suppose, that in my opinion align with a longer consolidation coming in from this high over here. I mean, one, that weekly is pretty fucking ugly, but or last week I should say. Two, we did have 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence coming off these last few highs right here. Also, the weekly RSI losing the exponential and potentially even losing the bullish control zone soon enough. And if it does simultaneously close below the red EMA, which is 116,200 by the end of this week, yeah, again, there's going to be bounces along the way. Bitcoin could bounce even all the way to like 119. But as long as, as long as it's below there, I mean, that 21 EMA, this yellow moving average right here, is going to be a natural area of interest, which is about 108 right now. On top of this, we can go ahead and look at stochastic momentum, which is coming kind of hard to the downside, below the critical zone for the first time in a long time. I mean, the last time that we saw this happen was in February of this year. That was preceding this mega dump, major dump for Bitcoin, going from about 100 all the way down to 75-ish. And of course, there were a few other times where we've seen this one turn down as well, like over here in March of 2024. Does that ring a bell? Big consolidation after that. Same thing over here. This one did trade a little bit further south, but not super crazy. Did still take about a month to consolidate, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things, starting to kind of align with that, at least in my opinion. And then on top of that, something that we haven't really spoke too much about is going to be loading over here because that's what it does. The 5-day McDonald's indicator, the old MACD. The MACD's nuts. Couple of things. One, bearish divergence present. 1, 2, 3 lower highs on the MACD histogram alongside higher highs on price action. So that is divergence by the nature of it. And then 2, we're seeing the MACD cross the downside on the 5-day time frame for the first time since when? Since January of this year, which marked off around this high over here. And before that, it did cross the downside in April of 2024, and that was this whole mega consolidation over here. And yes, there was an instance where it did cross the downside in January of 2024, which was not any real follow through. That can happen, but I would argue the difference here is that there was no MACD histogram divergence. So a little bit of a different look, but yeah, just another signal that says, in my opinion, probably a better time to be a little more cautious than not. I don't think that there's a major rush to get into positions if you're, looking for long-term longs. I think that this is kind of a trader's consolidation market right now, which is great because there's, the ranges are absolutely fucking massive. But ultimately, I think Bitcoin's a lot more likely to hit the bottom side of this range with bounces in between on the short-term time frames. But it's a lot more likely to hit the bottom side of this range, maybe even crack below the bottom side of the range. It's possible as well, but even then, how much downside really is there? I mean, maybe down to like low 100s, which admittedly would probably wipe out most of this market. I mean, shit, man. If you want to see some craziness, go onto Twitter, go to a major crypto creator, and just read the comments in their thread. And you will, 1, lose faith in humanity, and then 2, you'll realize, holy shit, people are massively over leveraged, like in a disgusting way. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be so judgmental, but yeah. Well, fuck it. No, that's the whole point of this shit. I'm fucking judgmental, man. I'm judging it. Anyways, yeah. Let's see. Do we have anything else here? I did forget to mention the HPDR here. HPDR, yes. Okay, show me the weekly. Weekly median is going to also be an area of interest, and it's just confluent with basically August lows. Once it loads, yeah, you can see the median coming in right here after rejection of the tops at a 38.2 level. I think it's very likely to reconnect with that. And again, that would be just, your lows of August. So, a lot of things pointed down to at least there. I guess the hopium is that you get a quick stab there and then it reverses and, you go back above 120 before the end of the month. I think that's less likely personally. I think Bitcoin's more likely to trade sideways here until the end of the month, and then we shall see. Then we shall see. Anyways, we made a quick announcement on this on yesterday's video, but the new script for the Quantum Waveband lifetime users only is now live. It is going to be a daily, a daily strategy going on here, which honestly, if you combine it with the skeleton key, which is part of the Quant Prime service, it gets pretty fucking powerful. Like I think I'll have to use this myself just because this is just hard to fucking beat, man. This is hard to beat. So this is a full history back test. Even if we cut it from back in 2017, it's nice and up and to the right. Yes, it's not 100% win rate, of course, but strategy is as far as I know. And at the end of the day, we're in it for the long term. So that also means, hey, if you're over leveraging yourself, don't fucking trade anything like this. Don't even bother getting into these programs or services because you're just gonna get fucked. I mean, you're gonna get fucked either way, to be honest. But at least we won't be the ones fucking you. It'll be just you fucking yourself. Which is probably better. I don't know. Anyways, my point is that, hey, if you're gonna trade something like this, you got to be long term. And I would strongly suggest do not treat leverage like a fucking lottery ticket. Keep it low or none. Anyways, yeah. And again, it's only available to the lifetime users. Yes, we will give you a discount if you were a monthly, on a monthly subscription, but we'll give you a 50% of whatever you've already paid off towards that lifetime if you did want to upgrade. Again, we really wanted to prioritize and acknowledge and reward those lifetime people for, leaving in our service and going into it. And so here's just a complete new script. No warning beforehand, and there you go. And of course, I don't know, while we're on the shill train right here, we're only 15 minutes into this one. Yeah, I don't want to go through the full rigmarole, but yes, the upgrade is coming on Trade Like a Quant. I'll leave it at that. Maybe we'll get into that in another video. But yeah, that's enough for today. As always, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Wednesday for perhaps another live stream.